How is it that the wealthiest country in the world has such a screwed up healthcare system? After 35 years in the healthcare industry, I decided to retire and share my secrets with you. I'm Chuck Melendi, and this is Disruptive Dialogue. Hey everybody, Chuck Melendi with Disruptive Dialogue. This is a very momentous moment for me. This is my first interview. And I have a special lady here. Her name is Jenn Munchel. Jenn is a volunteer and an advocate for the Arthritis Foundation. She is a former social worker and teacher, and she's now a development manager. Her passion is to help others, and that's been the driving force behind her career. She is deeply committed to raising awareness around arthritis and supporting those affected by that disease. She works as a volunteer to empower patients and people so that they can navigate the healthcare system. And when she's not working or as a volunteer, she enjoys spending time with friends and family. And I didn't know this. She likes to travel to the mountains. Heck yeah, man. I'm a mountain guy too. I love the mountains.
Oh, they're the best.
So with that being said, I'm super excited to have Jenn here today. And I met her in my old role. As y'all know, I worked for J&J, and we support the Arthritis Foundation. And that was part of my role. And I got to meet Jenn, and her story is incredible. And so I wanted to bring her on. And Jenn, welcome.
Thank you so much, Chuck. It's nice to be here.
Good to see you.
You too. Yeah.
Well, first off, if you're not watching us on YouTube, we're having a glass of red wine because that's her favorite beverage, as y'all know. And I've already said I'm retired, so I'm trying to keep that going. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I gave a quick overview, but let me know what else is going on.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm very, very passionate about the arthritis community. And that is because my now 4.5-year-old daughter actually has arthritis. And people listening may say to themselves, a 4.5-year-old has arthritis? Like, what? And that's exactly how I felt too when I found out. She was actually 2 when she was diagnosed. And actually, the way we met, the way we connected was through your former colleague, Cindy.
Yep. She
has a granddaughter who's around the same age, and I met her at the Pathways Conference, which is the Arthritis Foundation's volunteer conference. Brings together all the volunteers from around the country, and we met and we connected, and she said, "You got to meet Chuck."
Shout out to Cindy Dandoy, good friend and colleague. Love you, Cindy.
Yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, so about 2.5 years ago, it was November, and one day Mila woke up and she just didn't want to walk anymore. And at 2, that was very odd because, as you know, you have 2 daughters, 2-year-olds. If you can remember that far back.
They're crawling up the drapes.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're all over the place. And Mila is no exception. She is wild. So obviously very concerning. We're like, what the heck is going on? So we took her to the pediatrician. They said she had something called toxic synovitis, which is like transient arthritis.
Okay.
Treat it with Motrin, should be on its way. Well, something I forgot to mention was 2 weeks prior, she had a double ear infection, which is something that we had dealt with for the last year of her life. She had tubes put in, doing really well, but the tubes fall out and she got a double ear infection. We weren't alarmed because she had them before.
Right.
A couple weeks later, this not wanting to walk happened. And we're like, what is going on? So after that, we came home, kept giving her Motrin, and then finally she wasn't responding the next day to pain meds anymore. She didn't want to walk. But of course, she's 2. She's not saying, oh, my knee hurts.
Right.
She's just not doing anything.
And I can only imagine as a parent, for a sudden change in your child's behavior. And I mean, something that's so simple as just, walking, and now she doesn't want to do it. That would freak me out.
Oh my gosh. It was horrifying. Every emotion that you think that you would feel, you felt. Like, it was crazy. So in my gut, I knew something was wrong. Like, there was more to it. And weirdly, my in-laws were telling us that it actually was my birthday that week, and which is kind of sad.
Happy birthday.
I know, right? Terrible way to start your birthday. Anyway, so we had a conversation with my in-laws, and they had said that my sister-in-law, when she was Mila's age, had something called a septic hip joint after an ear infection. So my mind's going, oh, maybe that's what this is.
Right.
So when she stopped responding to pain meds, I told my husband, I was like, we got to go to the ER. Like, I don't know what's going on, but she can't walk. So we get to the ER, carrying her in, and you haven't met Mila, but she's gigantic. She's the size of a 6-year-old right now, and she's only 4. So she's big, and we're carrying her, and, she's miserable, and she's in pain, and we don't know where the pain is.
Ugh.
So we get admitted because she has an infection in her blood. We don't know where the infection is, but they admit us.
Sure.
So the next day they do an MRI, and they're planning to do an MRI, and they're looking at her, the PA, and they're going, I don't think it's the hip. Look at her knee. It looks a little swollen. And she's 2, so I didn't even notice.
Sure, of course not.
2-year-olds have chubby little legs. And I mentioned she's bigger than other 2-year-olds. Right. So anyway, they do the MRI. They sedate her, which was scary itself to have her put under. They bring her out of the MRI. She's still sleeping. It's a horrifying scene. Like, to see your 2-year-old passed out like that is just awful.
I'm glad I'm drinking wine right now.
Right?
Sucks. I can't
does.
imagine.
It was awful. And so what they found was fluid on her left knee.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, septic joint. That's what the orthopedic surgeon comes and they say, we need to do emergency surgery, aspirate it basically, remove the fluid. But they have to put her under again 2 times in one day. So luckily, I see that she did okay the first time. So I'm like, all right, we can handle this. So she goes under again. They do the aspiration, send us on our way. They go, oh, it'll be fine. Everything's taken care of. So we go back for a follow-up, and the swelling is still there. And the ortho is like, let's recheck this in about a week. So we come back, and she casually says, I think it might be rheumatoid arthritis.
You're
and
like,
I'm going,
she's 2, not 80.
Exactly. I'm like, excuse me?
And for everybody, JRA is juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and it is a real thing. And I don't think it's super common.
It's not. It's every form. I'm going to correct you there because they actually call it juvenile idiopathic arthritis.
Okay.
Because they don't know the cause.
Got you. Okay.
And it's a little different than rheumatoid arthritis. So it is not super common. It's about 1 in every 1,600 kids.
Shit.
Yeah. So it's pretty rare. Yeah. It's not considered a rare disease because I think that's 200,000 people or less. It's about 300,000 people.
But I don't care how rare it is if it's your kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and you keep thinking to yourself, how is this me? Like, how is this happening to me? I thought she was perfect. I mean, she is perfect, but I thought she was perfectly healthy.
So can't even imagine the emotions you've been through.
Yes.
And the trauma and all the horrible thoughts of, oh my God, what about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Is she going to have a normal life? Mm-hmm. So you've given us a little bit idea of what the diagnosis early on and what you went through. And it sounds like, okay, it sucks. But so now, she has juvenile idiopathic arthritis.
Yes.
And so you know what it is, and you want to make her comfortable, and you want to make her functional.
Yes.
So how's that going? How's dealing with the healthcare system?
Yeah.
How's that going?
So we actually are very fortunate.
Okay.
I will say we are very lucky, and I'll tell you some stories of people who are not so lucky.
I'm sure you've got some.
My experience has been actually really great.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
So I'm here to give people hope that it's not all terrible. So actually what happened was we got the diagnosis. We didn't start meds right away because that's not typically what they do. They do steroid injections when it's just a few joints. So we did that, but it ended up spreading to 10 joints total. So we knew we had to start medication. What was interesting was when she was first diagnosed, she was diagnosed with something called oligoarticular juvenile arthritis. That is 4 joints or less are affected. Okay. Technically, she is still oligo because that was the onset. However, for insurance purposes, we had to change her diagnosis to polyarticular in order to get the right drug. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that was an interesting first experience with that.
But you were able to work around it.
We were able to work around it. It did take several weeks, which was frustrating because I'm sitting here going, my kid is in pain. Hello. And I will say we did have a couple of insurance issues in the process leading up to the Humira.
Okay.
So the first one was, and I think it's so interesting, and you probably have a lot of insight into this. So when we did our hospital stay, we actually had to stay an extra 2 days for them to send off the cultures to see
observation and all that stuff.
Yeah, and of course, I don't want to be in the hospital for 2 extra days with a 2-year-old. She was still sleeping in a crib. I had to have her sleep in a regular bed. That was terrible.
Yeah.
That was enough of it in itself. They actually denied our insurance claim for those 2 extra hospital stays.
The insurance company denied it.
Yeah, they denied it. It was $50,000 and they denied it. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I would want to stay in the hospital longer. I mean, I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. So I fought it and they ended up covering it. But just the fact that I had to go through that after being in the hospital for 4 days with my 2-year-old is insane.
So you guys pay for your insurance.
Yes.
The insurers say, you know what? This is why you buy insurance, so that when you're sick, we take care of you. You follow what the healthcare professionals tell you to do.
Yep. Go to an in-network hospital.
In-network. You don't have a choice.
Yes.
You stay 2 extra days because, no, we're not going to see 2 extra days and put our daughter at risk. So you do what they tell you to do, even though it sucks.
Yep.
And the insurance companies, let's just beat on you while you're already down.
Exactly.
And here's a $50,000. And here's what pisses me off is, you and your husband, you're, fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
You're intelligent. You're going to fight it. You have time to fight it, even though not a ton of time, but you find the time.
Don't?
But what if you're a little old lady or a little old man? Or what if you don't have the resources?
Yes.
And you completely freak out? It's unconscionable.
It is.
That you have a child and the physicians in the hospital tell you to stay, and the insurance company who you're supposed to trust, who you pay all this money to, after the fact.
Right.
Not before. They don't go, hey.
Right.
You're going to stay 2 more days and that's going to be $50,000.
Right.
Then you might just say, well, I'll just hire a nurse for $500 an hour.
Right, exactly.
Or she can stay at my house.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what's wrong with our system. It pisses me off.
It pisses me off too. And I will say too, if I'm remembering correctly, the person who reviewed the case was not a rheumatologist, was not an orthopedic doctor. It was like a gynecologist or something.
For the insurance company.
Yeah, it was like some random doctor.
Classic.
And I'm like, this is and even I will say, I'll give it to the person I spoke with on the phone. She was mortified. At the insurance company. She was like, I cannot believe that we have to go through this process. So I did have some solace there of like, okay, this person's on my side. Like, it's just this one person who denied the claim. So yeah, but then another thing happened when we finally did get a diagnosis. They prescribed liquid naproxen because, again, my child is 2 at the time. She cannot take a pill. Try to get a 2-year-old. I mean, Mila's a little weird. She likes things that taste bad. I don't know. Medicine doesn't bother her, which is great. But a lot of kids would be disgusted by a crushed up naproxen and whatever. I had to fight for liquid naproxen. Like, literally had to call several people to get a prior authorization just for liquid naproxen. It was maddening to me. And it delayed the process of starting it.
And the physicians, I would think, are the ones that are like, yes, you need to have this. So,
absolutely.
So, 2 things. Number one, the lady that was mortified for the insurance company. And I've said this in previous podcasts. There's a lot of good people that work for these horrific companies.
Totally agree with you.
And it is not their fault.
Absolutely.
They're just doing their job and they are humans and they hate it.
Yes.
It is the people way up high that are passing these rules.
Exactly.
And the fact, once again, that their fiduciary duty is to their shareholder.
Yep.
And they are practicing medicine. I mean, they are telling you, I don't care what your physician said. I don't care what the hospital says. Nope, we're not going to pay for that or you can't do that.
Exactly.
How are they not held accountable is mind-boggling to me, although there are some civil suits that are starting.
That's good.
But even to the point right there with the physician saying it's a 2-year-old, we're not going to give her a pill. Of course, we're going to give her a liquid and they make you wait 2 more days. How do you not know that damage is occurring?
So I mean, I agree with you
and
wholeheartedly.
take away what could be happening. You see your kid in pain.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, It is infuriating.
Oh, it's infuriating.
It's complete bullshit.
It is.
So you've had a good experience, you said. So you know what? Hey, everybody, this is a good experience in the healthcare system in the U.S.
Right.
So fast forward, because I know you've told me a couple things. So tell me the good part of, if you can.
Yeah.
Because I want to be fair balanced.
Yes. The good part of
with Mila.
Oh, yeah. So she's doing great now. She's on medication. Honestly, I am so fortunate. Like, our PBM that we use is
I hate
phenomenal.
I hate those 3 letters.
I know you do.
Okay.
I know you do. And I typically do too, but we've had such a great experience. And I can shout them out if you
shout them out.
Carolyn RX, they are amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I know that other people may have had bad experience with them, but I have had a phenomenal experience. And I don't know if it's in partnership with our insurance company.
Right.
I'm not sure why.
Right.
But Mila's medication comes on time. It's always there. I never have had to wait for it, which is phenomenal. I do know that, and we haven't had to switch to a biosimilar, which is awesome because I'm nervous about that. Not because I think there's anything wrong with biosimilars. I've just heard they kind of hurt, and our shots are already tricky with a 4.5-year-old, if you can imagine. So my saving grace is that the Humira shot doesn't hurt.
Right. So a couple things for our listeners.
Yeah.
So look, I always say I'm going to call the bad players, but we also call it the good players.
Yes.
So Carolyn RX, shout out to you. They're owned by Elevance, which used to be Anthem, which is a bunch of the Blue Cross Blue Shield organizations.
Yes.
So that is good to hear because, look, there are I don't care if it's a manufacturer, a wholesaler, an insurance company, a PBM, there are good players and there are bad players.
For sure.
And I can tell you the pharmacy benefit managers, the PBMs, the 3 giant ones, Express Scripts and Optum and CVS, they control 80% of our country's prescription drugs. And because they have that monopolistic hold, they do what they want.
Exactly.
There are some good PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. And think about the term, everybody. Pharmacy benefit manager. Pharmacy is drugs. Benefits is your benefit, and they manage it. So they manage your drug benefit. They determine if a drug's going to be on formulary, what your physician can prescribe, and how much it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
But there are some good ones out there. Shout out to them. And I'm glad that worked out well. So
I'm glad too.
incredible journey with your daughter.
Yes.
And you also, as you said, have a family history of some arthritis.
We do. Yes. My mother-in-law has lupus. So we think potentially that's where it comes from. They don't know. Like I said, it's idiopathic.
Right.
But it makes sense, right? Like,
sure.
Girls often get their dad's genetics.
Are you saying that we're responsible?
Well, it's true. I mean, it's just a thing. Like,
hopefully my girls don't get my nose and my height. I mean, come on.
Your daughters are beautiful and you're great too. No, I think that it makes a lot of sense to that's where it came from. And it's, my husband's looking at, he might have arthritis too. Like we have it in our family, clearly.
So I love the saying, you can't swim out of the gene pool.
You can't, no.
It is what it is. And
that is how I view it. It is what it is. We just deal with it. It's part of our life and it sucks, but we do.
so all of this
yes.
has brought you to helping out the Arthritis Foundation.
Yes.
So let's give a shout out to the Arthritis Foundation, patient advocacy organization, do phenomenal work. And just so everybody knows, and I want you to tell us a little bit about the Arthritis Foundation. Yeah. There are these type of foundations in almost every disease state. There's rare disease. NAMI is a National Association of Mental Illness. Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Lupus
ACS
Society.
CAN, which is the American Society of Cancer Action Network. If you have a family member or a friend who is being hurt by a disease or whatever, and you're not embracing these advocacy organizations, you should. Not only can they give you support groups, they can help you with patient assistance for copay assistance. Okay, I'm stealing her thunder.
It's okay.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, no, everything you said is so true. Like once we found the Arthritis Foundation, I feel like that's when my world opened up to be more accepting of this condition. I mean, when you have a 2-year-old, you're like, I didn't expect this at all. I thought she was perfectly healthy. I mean, it just never crossed my mind. And so once I found the Arthritis Foundation, I was like, oh my gosh, there are other people who are also dealing with this too. I got connected to them. I'm very involved. I mean, I help plan all the events. I love it. It's a wonderful community. And I always joke that like, this sucks that she has this disease, right? But if she's going to have a disease, this is a good one to have. One, it's not life-threatening for her. Right. And two, they have this incredible organization. I mean, the Arthritis Foundation does so much for the juvenile arthritis community, but also for the adult arthritis community too. There's over 100 types of arthritis. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy because people hear the word arthritis and they automatically assume an 80-year-old grandma, right? Getting a joint replacement.
Absolutely.
And I always joke, I'm like, I wish that Mila's disease was called something different because people would think of it differently,
right?
You know, but it's not, so it's fine. But yeah, the Arthritis Foundation is an incredible organization. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to arthritis.org and there's a button at the top that says get involved. And that's how you can get involved. You can be a volunteer, you can be an advocate, you can fundraise to help grow the organization. It's an incredible place for everybody who is affected. And arthritis is actually the #1 disability in the country.
Really?
Yes. 1 in 4 adults in Florida are suffering from arthritis. And 60 million Americans have arthritis.
Okay, perspective, everybody. There's like 340 million Americans in the country, so 60 million.
It's a lot.
It's a ton.
It's a lot.
That's crazy.
And there's no cure right now or no treatment, I should say, for osteoarthritis except joint replacement.
Joint replacement.
Which is incredible that that's an option, right? Like, it's wild that we can do that.
My brother-in-law is very excited about that since he's an orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, I'm sure.
Shout out Alan and Arthur. So one thing for everyone to realize, and we talk about this because this show is not just to bring, awareness to the healthcare industry,
right,
but also how we can all come together and fight together to fix it.
Yep.
So in my old role, I was an advocacy director, and that's kind of how we got together.
Yeah.
Look, if you are like Jenn and her daughter, or if you are a patient, every year, and actually Florida's legislative session is going to be March and April of this year, you can go up to Tallahassee and you can go talk to legislators. Awesome. And you can tell them how important it is that they do the things that help these patients. Because look, there's one thing if like industry goes up there.
Sure.
There's another thing like if, physicians go up there, although healthcare practitioners, physicians, nurses, pharmacists, they pull more weight.
Oh, okay.
But nothing impacts a legislator like a patient.
Absolutely.
And especially a child.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're wondering, how can I get involved? You don't have to have arthritis.
No.
Any affliction you have, there are patient advocacy organizations you should get involved and help them because they do incredible work.
Yeah.
So at the Arthritis Foundation.
Yes.
I love this. Well, we're going to start with the good.
Yes.
Tell me of a success story, something where you're like, I don't know what we're going to do, and something you saw that just made you happy while you were involved.
Yeah, I mean, just having the community available. And, one of my passions is helping newly diagnosed families because I just know the struggle. I mean, when Mila was first diagnosed, and I know this isn't answering your question.
No, this is great.
But when she was first diagnosed, I could not get out of bed. Like, I literally was sick every morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I was depressed. I was anxious. I was nauseated. My husband had to be the parent because I couldn't do it. I couldn't see her in pain like that. It was just horrible. So I think the Arthritis Foundation, we provide hope, right? Like the Arthritis Foundation provides hope to families that it can get better. Yeah. And I think something that really stuck with me was a doctor said to me, if this was 40 years ago, we'd send you home with a wheelchair and some aspirin. And I will say that the Arthritis Foundation, through research and funding and all of that, has made these drugs available. So I would say that's the biggest success story of the Arthritis Foundation is just all of the money that has been dumped into research. And it's a lot. It's most of the money that is taken in goes out to help patients. And now Mila can live a pain-free life. I mean,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. So first off, what I hear is you're also a counselor.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And a hope minister.
Yes.
But, it does bring me back. And this is one of those areas where, this is not me touting one part of the healthcare industry, but also just trying to give everybody a reality check.
Yeah.
For a physician to say 40 years ago, we're going to give you some Motrin and a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I know the Arthritis Foundation and other organizations have put money into research. You have these drug manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you what, everybody hates them until you need them.
Until you need it.
And I'm pretty sure that you're like, thank God these companies have a drug like this that give my daughter a normal life.
I could, the gratefulness that I feel on a regular basis is astronomical. I mean, and I agree with Big Pharma, right?
Yeah.
We all hear of Big Pharma, anti-Big Pharma. And it's but without Big Pharma, my kid can't walk. How crazy is that to say? It's wild.
But see, it's not, because I can tell you that I used to sell a couple drugs for arthritis. And I'll never forget, I was in Tennessee and I was a sales manager, and I walked into an office with my rep, and the office manager said, "Hey, we all come over for a minute." And we're like, okay, we thought we were in trouble.
Yeah.
What do we do this time?
Yeah, right.
And she's like, "Have a patient who wants to say something to you." Once again, I'm still a little nervous.
You're like, oh gosh.
And the patient's on our drug. And she's like, "You changed my life."
Yeah.
And look, my old industry, I almost said my industry, old industry. We do a lot of things I don't like. I think our executives are paid too much. I hate branded direct-to-consumer advertising. We mess around with patent thickets, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, don't kill the goose that laid the golden egg.
So true.
I mean, there are so many diseases that we have changed people's lives.
Absolutely.
So thank you. And I promise I will bash them in future episodes, but this is a good opportunity.
I call it her miracle drug. I really do. I mean, it's truly, I'm not kidding, Chuck. It was within 2 days of her first dose that she was running and jumping again. And she hadn't done that in 4 months prior.
That's crazy.
It was absolutely wild.
Probably cried.
Oh, I did. And it was 0.2 milliliters of liquid. That's all that I inject into her, and she can live her life. So science is amazing.
Yes.
These drugs are amazing. I'm so grateful for them. I couldn't function when this started. I didn't know if she would ever have a normal, like you said. Will she have a normal life? I don't know.
Can't imagine. So God bless you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey, but it led me to this great work that I do now. This volunteer work. It's a passion project for me. I love it. I'm never sad to help somebody. Who would be? So I just feel like it's kind of like my calling almost, you know?
God puts you in the places where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the routes are a little interesting,
tricky,
but just have faith.
Yeah.
So, tell me
some bad
I know
stories.
you're exposed. No, we're not getting crazy.
Okay, not yet.
But give me one that stands out where you're just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. So one recently, actually, that's been really bothering me is actually a family that lives here. Their daughter has been she actually has a systemic form. So it's the more aggressive type. It's more rare than Mila's type of arthritis, but still JA, juvenile arthritis, JA for short, but I will call it juvenile arthritis. Anyway, she is on an off-label drug and it's helping her dramatically. She's been on probably 15 different options that have not done anything. And she's been on steroids forever because it's the only thing and we all know, I mean, you and I know, your listeners may not, steroids wreak havoc on your body.
Of course.
It's an incredible drug, but it destroys you. She can't get any kind of copay assistance or any help paying for this drug because it's off label. And I know that that's part of it, right? Like, we're going to try this and see if it works.
Right.
But it's super frustrating for her, right? Like, she's stuck. And she doesn't want to change the drug because it's working.
Yes.
So what does she do? I don't know. I don't have a solution for her.
So we're on air.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she's worked with her physician. Has she worked with their insurance companies?
Yeah. I mean, they've tried to get it covered and it's just not anymore. They wanted to charge her like $500 for a 12-day supply or something crazy like that. Yeah.
So in my industry or my old industry, God, I'm going to break this habit.
Yeah, I know.
And the main drug
It's so fresh. So
quite often, what they should do is reach out to the manufacturer. So this is everybody on the podcast understands. If you're on a drug, even if it's off-label, so when you say an off-label drug, the FDA approves drugs, trials have been done, shows they're safe and effective. But quite often, drugs are prescribed off-label, which means they haven't gone through the whole clinical trial process, but they still work.
Right.
Now, that being said, everybody's a little bit iffy because, they're not sure, but sometimes you run out of options. That's what you're going to do. Medicare often, if there's medical necessity and it backs it up and through a prior authorization, Medicare usually will reimburse for an off-label drug.
Good to know.
When I say off-label, it's a drug that has FDA labels, but not for that indication or condition. Now, if it's an insurance company, quite often, if the physician sends them a letter of medical necessity, that might be approved.
Okay.
If that fails, then go to the company. The manufacturer, because the manufacturer quite often will have patient assistance programs.
Okay.
Now I'll get into another podcast how insurance companies are trying to take that money also, but at the end, but at the end of the day, go to the manufacturer.
Okay.
Once we get offline, let's talk, and I'll see if there's some other resources I can get to you to help out with that.
I think this is helpful for everyone, right? Like anybody who's dealing with this situation. That was one that I wrote another one down that I actually I'm in a Facebook group, a juvenile arthritis moms Facebook group.
It's not a political one, which is crazy.
No, it is not a political one at all. And if anybody talks politics, they get that. Yeah, that post gets removed. But what was interesting about this post, and I think a lot of people have dealt with it, this child's on an infusion drug. I don't remember which drug it was, but she had a copay assistance card and it said, similar to what Humira says, you can pay as little as $5 a month.
Sure.
Well, if you've been on Humira and that works, because I pay $5 a month. I don't pay any more than that ever. You assume that this one's also going to be the same, right? Like they're equivalent. Well, no, this poor family, she needs this infusion and they're charging her, I think, $1,500 a month until she hits her deductible. And she's going, what the heck? I have this copay assistance card. There's money on it. I can see that there's money available and they won't accept it. The insurance company, I think, won't accept I think that's who it is not accepting it. And I'm just like, it's just so frustrating, these hoops that you have to jump through. And maybe she'll get it resolved and it'll be fine. But you just have to spend all this time and energy for your kid. Your kid just wants to be a child, and they can't because you are having to deal with adults who are making these decisions.
So just so I understand, is the drug FDA approved for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they have insurance and the physician prescribed it. So I said on an earlier podcast, physicians' practices spend over $2 billion with a B in expenses to work through the hoops of insurance companies with prior authorization, step therapy, et cetera. So there are situations where the manufacturers who realize these drugs are too expensive give copay assistance.
Right.
And sometimes, like you said, the insurance companies or the PBM will not let that apply.
Yeah.
Or they'll take it until it runs out and then they'll charge the patient money. That's another thing that they do sometimes.
Yeah.
I hate to do this, but first off, I would have her work with the physician's office and I would have her work with the company.
Okay.
And even the insurance company and find out why.
Why,
What's the deal?
What's the holdup?
Because these days with high deductible health plans, I mean, I think I have to pay $5,000. I pay my premiums. They're like $5,000 out of pocket before they'll even pick up like 80% of it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
So that's what I would do. Go through those routes. But off air, let's chat.
Okay.
And I probably can help you navigate a little bit better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
You're amazing. and honestly, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you're sharing your life and the struggles that y'all been through and but I think it helps people to hear this. The healthcare system is a beast.
Yes, it is.
And it's going to take all of us to change it. what would you say to people as far as will it make a difference? How can they get involved? What should they do?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting involved with advocacy is really the biggest thing because honestly, if you are not telling your story, people don't even know that you need help. I encourage everybody that I speak to share their story. I think that is the key, right? And I will say, like, I think these nonprofits that are, behind these diseases, a lot of them do a phenomenal job at telling the story. I think the Arthritis Foundation does a great job, but I think we could do a better job. And I think we're working on it as an organization. Telling your story is just so powerful. I mean, people resonate with regular people.
Yep.
Like you said, if you are a person who's a patient or a caregiver, you're going to make so much more of an impact than a physician even, or someone like you who works for used to work for J&J, right? Like it's just, it's so impactful. And as a volunteer, that's what I encourage people to do is just say what's going on in your life, because then you can connect with people. Yep. And people want to help. They do. People want to help. That's what I have found. It's the majority of people really do want to. It's like that lady I spoke with on the phone.
Right.
She wanted to help. And maybe she was the reason that it got approved. I don't really know. So I think that's the key is just sharing your story, talking to as many people as you can. That's why I'm here, right? Is because I want to share Mila's story. I want to share our story. I want to share other people's stories because if I don't do it, I don't know who will, right? And so I think that's the biggest key right there is just sharing.
Thank you so much because I can tell you talking to legislators, they will often say, I haven't heard anybody say they have an issue.
Exactly.
No one tells me that their insurance was expensive, that they got turned down.
Yeah.
Because people are so busy and we put our head down and we're grinding and we're dealing with it.
Yeah.
You need to let legislators know.
Absolutely.
It makes a big impact.
It
Let me
does.
tell you, people don't realize, but there's so much emphasis now on mental health. That came about because the pandemic and all these legislators were home with their families.
Did they?
And they experienced with their own kids and their neighbors and were like, holy shit.
Yes.
This is real. We need to take care of this.
Yeah.
So unless legislators know and they're busy and look,
of course,
the vast majority want to do the right thing.
Sure.
You need to reach out and let them know.
Yeah.
And they want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So don't complain.
No, just do something about it.
Do something about it.
I was, trust me, I'm a complainer by nature. I am. Like, I want to complain. Like, I just started reading I'm listening to this book called Let Them. Have you heard of it?
Nope.
Mel Robbins. She's amazing. You should look at it's incredible. It's a great way to relieve stress. Anyway, I'm a complainer, but I also am like, this is my kid now. Like, I have to do something about it. I always talk to people and I'm like, why would you not? Some people don't want to share their story, which I get.
I get it.
But you can share somebody else's story.
Yes.
You can share Mila's story. I'm happy to share it. Like, if you want to take that on as your own, go for it. So I get some people don't want to be vulnerable, right? I view it as like, if I'm not complaining, then I can be vulnerable instead and share the story, right? If I want to make a difference. Yep. It's just a lot. And I think that, like you said, the healthcare industry is such a beast and there's so many things that can change, but there are also things that are being done right too.
Yes.
So we do need to celebrate that.
Absolutely.
But also, if you are affected by these things, do something. Anything. Write a letter to your legislator. You don't have to leave your house to do that, So get involved with these organizations.
People write letters?
Right? I know. I think they do.
An email?
An email's better. I don't write letters.
I'm an old guy, and I even corrected you youngster.
Right? I write an email. An email's better. Or make a phone call.
Well, Jenn, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. God bless you for being my first podcast
I hope
interview.
It was okay.
You're amazing. Hope the wine was good.
Yes, thank you.
Give Mila a hug for me.
I will.
And I'm sure that we will maybe see each other up in Tallahassee.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to go to Tallahassee.
Cheers.
For sure. Cheers. Thanks, Chuck. It was great chatting with you.